them and sharing their experience in the church. It is a blessing to hear so many amazing stories about how this church and our faith has connected and impacted so many different families. It truly is God's blessing and gift. We would like to invite Kevin Varughese on stage at this time to give a reflection on behalf of the youth of this church. Kevin is currently studying at UMKC for his medical degree and has been an integral part of the church as an altar server and volunteer.
May all glory be to God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, forever and ever. Amen. Good evening, everyone. Congratulations. We're celebrating 10 years today, and it's a special milestone. As I was introduced, my name is Kevin. You'll probably see me serving in the altar or around church. Just for the next few minutes, what I'd like to do is just talk through our church's past, our present, and our future. So starting with the past, just looking back at the past, when I think to myself, what was I thinking 10 years ago? I was asking myself a lot of questions because this church was really new for me. You might know our family before this church started, we were pretty well established at a different church. And so coming here was a bit of a transition for me. So a lot of the time I was asking myself, why? So why do we have to be in this new, strange church? I wasn't familiar with Malayalam, so I was asking, why do I have to go to this church where I don't understand what's going on? Why do I have to go to this church where we stand for what seems like 10 to 12 hours? Like, my legs are killing me here. And why do we have to go to this church where, I had a lot of friends at the church that we used to go to, and it was a lot of fun, and we would eat pizza and those type of things. So why do I have to go to this new church where everyone is either 10 years younger than me or 10 years older than me? So it's a little hard to make friends. So these questions were running through my mind, and I asked my parents that, and what they told me was, we understand your concerns, but the thing is, this is our home. This is our heritage. We were mentioned earlier that you can think of us as pilgrims or sojourners, and we've kind of been away from home, but this is where we belong. So, of course, I didn't have much of a say in it, so I came to church. But what I realize now is that if I had followed my will then, if I had done what was comfortable then, today would be very different. 10 years from then, I might not even be here having the blessed opportunity to speak with all of you. So that leads us to today. So the question you can then ask me is, okay, so what changed? If you started out not being that big of a fan of a church, how did you get here today? And for me, it was definitely serving in the altar, learning about the different parts of the service and why we do what we do. But it was also a shift in mindset. It wasn't something I did intentionally. I just one day realized that I was thinking about the church differently. So before, the way I thought about church was the church, the Malayalam church, the long church, the church where I have to stand. But especially after serving in the altar and being involved and getting to know people and going to activities, I started one day, I realized that I was thinking about church as my church or our church. And the difference between those two is one of those is a building where you go to and you do a thing on Sunday and you leave. And the other is a community that you're a stakeholder in, that you benefit from, but you also have duties and responsibilities towards. So really just shifting and just thinking about this church as my own is what opened it up for me personally. And so I've been serving in the altar for quite some, I think going on 6-7 years now. And so one of the things that's always struck me about the altar is that it's changed quite a bit over the years. If you think back to who was serving first in the altar, the faces that were there then, and then over the years, the change in personnel from year to year, it's changed drastically. But what's amazing, what's beautiful is that in spite of having so many different people that I've been able to learn from, anything that's good about me is a product of the people that taught me what I know. Everyone was so different. Everyone came from such different backgrounds, but they were united by one mission. They all came together, and we tried to do our best in order to help out with services. And in many ways, that represents our church. We are actually so different if you think about it. We're all in different phases of life. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different daily struggles. But what's amazing about our church is that when we take communion, we all come together in one shared belief. We are literally one body with God, worshiping God. And so that kind of takes us to the future. Where do we go from here? And so, like I said, we're all sharing together. I think a good way to think about the church is kind of like a community garden, where we are all lucky and blessed to be part of the community, where we are members of this church. And we all come to this garden, and we are able to enjoy the fruits of worship and spirituality. But the thing is, if we